You'll never guess what these 7 ugly habits actually reveal about seniors who are thriving, especially number 4. It shocked me. Meet Carol, 74, from a small town in Ohio. She's the kind of person who used to care what people thought. Matching earrings, perfectly pressed clothes, not a hair out of place. But these days, she walks to the grocery store in pajama pants, a faded hoodie, and sneakers that have seen better days. And last week, someone from church pulled her aside and said, "Carol, you've really let yourself go." Carol didn't flinch. She smiled and said, "No, I've finally found myself." Then she pushed her cart toward the bakery section and picked out her favorite cookies. What that woman saw as letting go was actually Carol's quiet rebellion, a sign of freedom, a badge of survival. Because thriving in your 70s isn't about appearances, it's about peace. And peace comes when you stop trying to fit everyone else's mold. Across the US, in retirement communities in Florida, coffee shops in Oregon, and neighborhood parks in North Carolina, older adults are breaking the so-called rules of aging. They're wearing what they want, saying what they mean, doing less, and enjoying more. And people might call these habits lazy, weird, even ugly. But the truth? They're signs of wisdom, joy, and living on your own terms. Today, we're unpacking 7 habits that outsiders might judge, but that actually prove just how strong, self-aware, and vibrant thriving seniors really are. So if you've ever been told to act your age or pull it together, this one's for you. This is Better Aging Advice for Elderly, where we challenge myths, share real stories, and give you tools to age with energy, clarity, and confidence. If you're aging on your own terms, hit subscribe and let's thrive together. Number 1. Saying no without guilt. Frank, 68, was known in his Chicago neighborhood as the go-to guy. If you needed help moving furniture, he was there. If you had a family barbecue, Frank would be the first to show up with his famous potato salad. And if you called him at midnight because your car broke down, he'd be on his way before you could even finish explaining. For years, Frank wore the title of people pleaser like a badge of honor. He loved helping others, but somewhere along the way, he stopped helping himself. One afternoon, as Frank sat on his porch sipping iced tea, he had an epiphany. He had just gotten off the phone with his niece, who had asked him to drive her to the airport again. He loved her, but it was his 5th favor this week. His back hurt, his energy was low, and frankly, he had plans. Plans that didn't involve driving across town at 5 a.m. He took a deep breath, and for the first time in years, he said it, without hesitation, without guilt. "Not this time, VE got a date with my recliner and a crossword." It felt strange at first, like he was breaking some unspoken rule. But then, something amazing happened. Frank realized he wasn't selfish for saying no. He was reclaiming his time. He was setting boundaries, which is something he never learned to do in his younger years. Frank's new philosophy: thriving isn't about doing more. It's about doing what truly matters. Helping others is great, but not at the cost of your peace, your health, or your joy. There's power in saying no to things that drain you and yes, to things that fill you up. For Frank, that meant saying no to one more favor and yes, to a quiet morning with his crossword puzzle. Here's the thing. Many of us have spent decades trying to please others. We've said yes when we really wanted to say no, and we've overextended ourselves, only to end up exhausted and resentful. But at a certain point in life, we realize we've earned the right to put ourselves first. And that's okay. That's thriving. If you're like Frank, learning to say no without guilt can feel like a huge shift. It might be uncomfortable at first, but you'll quickly discover that it's liberating. You don't need to apologize for choosing yourself, ever. And trust me, people will respect you more for it. The truth is, when you say no to things that don't serve you, you're saying yes to the things that truly matter. whether that's resting, pursuing a hobby, or simply enjoying some quiet time. When was the last time you said no and felt good about it? Share your story in the comments. It might just inspire someone else to do the same. Number 2. Choosing comfort over style. Gloria, 72, always prided herself on looking put together. For years, she spent an hour each morning styling her hair, picking out the perfect outfit, and making sure her makeup was just right. Whether she was going to the grocery store or meeting friends for coffee, she had a routine, and it was important to her to always look her best. "You never know who you might run into," she'd say. Her closet was full of skirts, blouses, and the occasional sparkly accessory. But lately, things had changed. One day, after spending what felt like forever getting ready for a simple trip to the local market, Gloria had a moment of realization. She looked at her reflection in the mirror and asked herself, "Why am I doing this?" She wasn't going to a fancy dinner or a party, just picking up a loaf of bread and some vegetables. The effort felt unnecessary, and it was tiring. She thought about how often she had chosen comfort over style when no one was looking, slipping into her husband's old flannel shirt and slipping her feet into cozy fuzzy socks on chilly mornings. It hit her. Why not wear what made her feel good, even if it wasn't the most fashionable choice? She realized that comfort wasn't something to hide or be ashamed of. So, Gloria made a decision. The next time she went out, she was going to wear what felt right, not what others expected her to wear. And that's exactly what she did. Gloria wore fuzzy socks, an oversized flannel shirt that once belonged to her late husband, and a pair of well-worn jeans to the grocery store. At first, some of the people in her South Carolina community stared. They seemed confused by her unkempt hair and casual attire. But as she walked past, her warm smile and confident stride said it all. "I'm comfortable, and I'm happy," she thought. And surprisingly, something even more magical happened. Other women started doing the same. Gloria noticed more and more people were letting go of the effort to dress up for daily errands. They embraced comfort and took joy in not pretending to be something they weren't. Her message was simple. Comfort isn't a fashion crime. It's a form of quiet, understated confidence. Choosing comfort over style is often misunderstood, especially when society places such high value on appearance. But the truth is, feeling comfortable in your own skin and clothes doesn't make you any less fashionable. It makes you authentically you. And authenticity, that's the true mark of confidence. Whether it's a flannel shirt, fuzzy socks, or a pair of old sneakers, the most stylish thing you can wear is the confidence to embrace what feels good to you, style, and maybe inspire someone to ditch the heels for some fuzzy socks. The beauty of getting older is realizing that you no longer have to live up to anyone's expectations. You don't need to dress for approval. You can dress for joy, for comfort, and for yourself. Life's too short to squeeze into tight shoes or wear something that makes you uncomfortable just because it's in style. Comfort is a luxury, and Gloria is living proof that it's worth choosing every single time. What's your favorite cozy, ugly outfit? Own it in the comments. Let's celebrate comfort over. Number 3. Eating alone and loving it. Every morning, Robert, 76, wakes up to the quiet of his small home in upstate New York. He doesn't rush or jump into a busy schedule. His mornings are for him. After a slow cup of coffee at home, he puts on his coat, grabs his keys, and takes a leisurely walk to his favorite diner just a few blocks away. The cool morning air doesn't bother him. It's part of the ritual. At the diner, Robert slides into his usual corner booth by the window, the same one he sat at for the past 5 years. He orders the same breakfast every time: eggs over easy, crispy bacon, a side of toast, and, of course, a black coffee. The waitress, who's known him for years, gives him a nod as she takes his order. And then, Robert does something that might surprise some people. He pulls out a book, a thick novel, or maybe a newspaper, depending on his mood. He doesn't have a friend or family member sitting across from him. He's alone, and he's perfectly content with that. In fact, Robert loves it. That solo breakfast at his favorite diner is his daily joy. It's his time to unwind, reflect, and savor the quiet before the world fully wakes up. People think eating alone means you're lonely, Robert says with a soft chuckle as he takes a sip of his coffee. But I think it means you're at peace. I've learned to enjoy my own company, and that's something special. It's a sentiment many seniors can relate to, but often don't say out loud. The stigma of eating alone is real. Society tends to equate solitude with loneliness, especially when it comes to older adults. But Robert is proof that this couldn't be further from the truth. Eating alone isn't a sign of isolation. It's a celebration of self-sufficiency, independence, and finding joy in your own presence. The truth is, there's something deeply comforting about eating alone. There's no pressure to talk, no need to entertain others, just the pure experience of enjoying your meal and your own thoughts. It's a time for Robert to disconnect from the world and reconnect with himself, something he's learned to value more and more as the years go by. As we get older, many of us tend to think we need to fill every moment with company, but the reality is that solitude can be an incredible gift. In those quiet moments, we find space to reflect, to recharge, and to truly appreciate the simple pleasures of life, like eggs over easy, the warmth of a good cup of coffee, and a book that transports us to another world. So, the next time you find yourself eating alone, don't see it as a sign of loneliness. Instead, embrace it as a reminder of how far you've come and how much peace you've earned. You are enough, just as you are, and sometimes, the most fulfilling moments happen when we're alone, savoring the moment on our own terms. What's your favorite solo meal or daily ritual? Share it in the comments. Let's celebrate the peace that comes with eating alone and embracing our own company. Number 4. Talking to strangers. Everywhere Margie, 79, is known for talking to everyone. In her neighborhood in Phoenix, she's a fixture, a smiling face that greets anyone within earshot, whether they're familiar or not. The mailman, the barista at her favorite coffee shop, kids waiting in line at CVS, even the guy fixing her cable. Margie has a way of starting conversations with anyone, anywhere. Her daughter used to cringe every time Margie struck up a chat with a stranger. "Mom, that's weird," she'd say, shaking her head as Margie waved to the clerk at the grocery store, or leaned over to ask the waiter about his day. You can't just talk to people like that. But Margie didn't care. To her, those conversations weren't strange, they were lifelines. In a world that often feels isolated and disconnected, she found that simple. Unexpected chats with strangers could make all the difference. One winter, Margie went through a tough time. Her husband, who had been her partner for over 50 years, passed away suddenly, and she felt the weight of loneliness press down on her. But one day, while waiting for a package to arrive, she found herself chatting with the delivery driver. They talked about the weather, about his kids, about her memories of winters with her husband. It was a simple conversation, but it turned into something much more meaningful. Over time, Margie and the driver became regulars in each other's lives, sharing stories and updates. That connection, built on a series of small talks, became a source of support for Margie during one of the hardest years of her life. Connection can come from anywhere, Margie says with a warm smile. Sometimes it starts with, "Hey, how's your day going?" And before you know it, you've made a friend. For Margie, talking to strangers isn't about small talk, it's about building bridges. She knows that everyone has a story and everyone has something to offer. Whether it's advice, a shared laugh, or just a few minutes of human connection, those moments can be enough to change someone's day or even their life. Many people, especially as they age, can feel isolated. Family members and friends may move away, and the days can start to feel longer. But for Margie, talking to strangers is a way to stay engaged with the world. It keeps her curious, active, and connected. It's also a reminder that connection isn't always about deep relationships. It can simply be about recognizing the humanity in everyone you meet. In a world where it's easy to become set in your ways or to retreat into the comfort of your own space, Margie is showing us that connection is everywhere. It doesn't require perfection, a shared background, or even long conversations. It just takes the courage to start and the willingness to listen. So next time you're out and about, why not strike up a conversation? You never know where it might lead, or what new friend might be waiting for a simple, "How's your day going?" Do you enjoy talking to strangers, or do you prefer keeping to yourself? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's see how many of us are embracing connection, one conversation at a time. Number 5. Letting the house get a little messy. Thomas, 80, used to be known for his immaculate Kansas home. The kind of place you could eat off the floor, where every piece of furniture had a place, and every dish was washed and put away immediately. But these days, well, things have changed. The laundry may be folded, but it's sitting in a pile on the couch, waiting to be put away. The counters? There's a few crumbs from his famous cornbread, still scattered around after a quick, delicious afternoon snack. And you know what? Thomas doesn't mind one bit. In fact, he's learned to embrace the mess. "I'd rather spend an hour on the porch with my dog, Max, than vacuum again," he chuckles. It's not that he doesn't care about his home. He does. But Thomas has come to realize something that many seniors eventually discover. Life is too short to be constantly cleaning and worrying about perfection. A little mess, a little clutter, means you're living a fuller life. And to Thomas, that's worth more than a spotless house. For years, Thomas spent hours each day making sure his house was always in perfect condition. His neighbors admired his dedication to cleanliness, and his family appreciated how well-maintained everything was. But after a couple of knee surgeries and a few years of retirement, Thomas began to reevaluate his priorities. What was he really getting out of all that effort? It dawned on him that while the house was pristine, he wasn't spending enough time doing the things he loved, like sitting on his porch, watching the sunset with Max by his side, or reading a good book without worrying about the dust bunnies under the couch. He realized that the act of constantly cleaning had started to steal away the joy of simply being. "Sure, I could spend my days cleaning every inch of this place," Thomas explains, "but I'd rather enjoy the time I have left, doing things that actually make me happy. The mess? It can wait." Now, Thomas spends his afternoons outside with Max, or he'll visit his neighbor, Carol, to swap stories and catch up on the local gossip. He's got his hobbies: gardening, fishing, and cooking. His cornbread is famous in the neighborhood, after all, and he's discovered that letting a little mess build up here and there isn't the end of the world. It's a sign that he's prioritizing life over chores. For many seniors, the pressure to keep a spotless home can come from a deep sense of responsibility or habit. But the truth is, as we age, we get to decide what truly matters. The clean house can still be important, but so is time spent with loved ones, enjoying your favorite hobbies, or simply sitting outside on a warm afternoon. Mess doesn't mean chaos. It means you're living in the moment. It means you've stopped letting the dust get in the way of joy. And for Thomas, that's a lesson he's learned well. So, next time you see a little clutter on the counter, or a sock that hasn't made it to the laundry basket, remember Thomas's wisdom. It's okay. Life is about balance, and sometimes that balance means choosing a little mess in exchange for a lot more happiness. Do you stress about keeping your house spotless, or do you let it slide sometimes? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's see how many of us are embracing the messy side of life and enjoying it. Number 6. Repeating old stories. You've probably met someone like Elaine, 77, in Michigan. At every family dinner, she tells the same story. It's the one about the summer of '68, the year she went to that unforgettable concert where she met the love of her life and danced under the stars with her best friends. Every time, she gets the details a little mixed up, but the emotions? Those never change. And yes, her grandkids roll their eyes. They've heard it 100 times. But here's the thing, they also remember it. They remember the passion in her voice, the way her eyes light up when she talks about that summer. And somewhere between the eye rolls and the chuckles, they understand that this story is more than just a nostalgic memory. It's a piece of their family's history, a window into a life that was once young, wild, and free. Elaine is just one of many seniors who repeat their stories. They've lived long lives, filled with experiences, wisdom, and love. And while it may seem like they're telling the same thing over and over, there's actually power in repetition. Stories are how we pass down more than just facts. They're how we pass down values, humor, and lessons learned the hard way. When Elaine talks about that concert, she's not just reminiscing about her youth. She's sharing a part of herself with her family, part of her identity, her joys, and her memories. Every retelling is an opportunity for her to reconnect with that time in her life, to relive the joy and freedom she felt, and to share that with those she loves. For her grandkids, it might seem like just another story at first, but over time, they begin to understand the importance of those moments. They start to realize that this old story is a bridge between generations, a connection to a past they didn't live through but are still a part of. They begin to see Elaine not just as grandma, but as a person with a rich history, someone who lived through events that shaped her, and in turn, shaped the family they're part of today. And as we get older, repeating our stories becomes a way of claiming our space in the world. It's a way to make sure we're not forgotten, that our experiences, no matter how small they might seem, are passed on to the next generation. Whether it's a funny story, a lesson learned the hard way, or a piece of wisdom about love or loss, these stories are the threads that weave families together. So, the next time someone rolls their eyes at your old story, don't let it discourage you. Repeating these tales is more than just reliving the past. It's a way to ensure that your history, your lessons, and your love live on. Because the truth is, the best stories are always worth telling, even if they've been told 100 times before. Do you have a story you love to tell over and over again? What's your favorite memory to share with your loved ones? Drop it in the comments. We'd love to hear the stories that make you smile every time. Number 7. Not apologizing for slowing down. In the bustling city of Dallas, where the streets are always packed and everyone's in a hurry, you'll find Walter, 81, strolling at his own pace, while others rush by, rushing to meetings or appointments. Walter moves deliberately, one step at a time. He uses a cane, and his stride is slower than most, but he doesn't apologize for it. In fact, if someone behind him gets impatient and says, "Excuse me," or tries to rush past, Walter simply looks over his shoulder and says with a calm smile, "If they can't wait, they can go around." It might seem like a small thing, but for Walter, this pace is a powerful choice. In a world where productivity and speed are often seen as the ultimate goals, Walter's way of moving through life is a quiet rebellion. He's not slowing down because he's weak or tired. He's slowing down because he knows what's important, savoring every moment. Walter has been through a lot in his life. He's buried loved ones, watched friends come and go, and weathered the challenges of aging. But through it all, he's come to realize something important. Life isn't a race. In fact, the faster you move, the more you miss. The simple joys, like a warm breeze or the sound of birds singing in the trees, are often overlooked when we're in a rush. For Walter, walking slowly isn't about disability, it's about intention. It's about making sure he sees the beauty in every step. Whether it's noticing the way the sun filters through the leaves or hearing a child's laughter nearby, Walter's friends used to nudge him, saying, "Come on, Walter, pick up the pace." But he always smiled and replied, "I'm in no hurry. I've earned my slow pace." It's true, he's lived a long life, and now he chooses to enjoy it, fully present in each moment. He's not apologizing for needing more time to do things. Instead, he's embracing it. He knows that slowing down doesn't mean stopping, it means living with purpose. For many seniors, there's often pressure to keep up with the fast-moving world around them. Society can sometimes make us feel like we're falling behind, or that we're slowing others down. But Walter shows us that slowing down isn't a weakness, it's a form of strength. It's a way to take control of your time and your energy. It's a way to make sure you're living life on your own terms, not someone else's schedule. Walter's refusal to apologize for his pace is a lesson we can all learn from. In a culture that celebrates speed and efficiency, his choice to slow down is an act of self-respect. He's not worried about what others think. He's focused on what makes him feel alive and fulfilled. And in doing so, he's modeling a powerful way of aging, one that values quality over quantity and mindfulness over productivity. So, the next time you feel like you're moving too slowly, remember Walter's words. If they can't wait, they can go around. There's no need to apologize for taking your time. In fact, you might just find that slowing down allows you to live more deeply, savoring each precious moment as it comes. Do you ever feel pressured to keep up with the fast pace of life around you? What would happen if you slowed down for a change? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how you embrace your own pace. Which of these ugly habits do you relate to most? Maybe you've embraced the art of saying no without guilt, or you're choosing comfort over style, like the fuzzy slippers that just feel so right. Maybe, like Walter, you're taking your time and savoring life, one slow step at a time. Whatever it is, we all have our own version of thriving, and I want to hear about yours. Drop your story in the comments. I'd love to hear how you've embraced these ugly habits that are really just signs of resilience, wisdom, and joy. Aging isn't about perfection. It's about living authentically and unapologetically. So let's share our experiences and inspire one another. And if this made you smile, hit like and subscribe. Here on Better Aging Advice, we celebrate every wrinkle, every laugh line, and every smart choice that makes aging a joy. We're in this together, and every step of the way, we're learning how to thrive with confidence, clarity, and energy. Keep embracing your best life. It's just getting started. What's your favorite ugly habit that shows you're thriving? Let's hear it in the comments.